I am pleased to be joined today by Dr. Courtney Crooks. Dr. Crooks is a principal research scientist in GTRI's Advanced Concepts Laboratory, a licensed psychologist, and a U.S. Navy veteran. So, Dr. Crooks, my first question for you is, what exactly is mental health?
The way I've come to understand mental health is that it is our ability to be aware of and to understand and to balance our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and also our ability to interact productively and functionally with our environment and the people in our environment.
At GTRI, obviously employees have been through a lot over the past 2 years. What have been some of your top observations in terms of how the pandemic has impacted people's mental and emotional health?
Well, because it was a prolonged experience, a couple of years almost,
Right.
So those experiences evolved over time. Many of us had to adjust to working full-time from home. We may have had to completely restructure the way our house looked and the things in the house in order to do that. And we may have also been dealing with homeschooling during that same time of having to work. I was one of those people with 2 kids homeschooling and me home working for almost a year and a half, completely full-time. So
Gosh.
that was not easy. So I definitely understand, that firsthand. But a lot of different experiences. Many of us experienced loss, some illness as well, and the inability to do our normal daily functions.
As we look ahead and try to adjust to a new normal, what, in your opinion, should companies do more of or continue with what they're doing to prioritize the mental health of their employees?
Yeah, so I think it's a continuance for us at GTRI because, again, we've had many programs throughout the last couple of years since the pandemic started. We had some before the pandemic started, so we had something to work with as far as expansion related to pandemic issues. I think continuing some of the things that we were able to get together during the pandemic that were enhancements to our mental wellness program. Some of the USG-wide programs, I think we did a real solid effort of trying to promote some of those USG health activities that, people may not have been aware of because they get buried in all the other information we get. So physical health, mental health, those things go hand in hand. I think sometimes there's an emphasis on physical health and less of an emphasis on mental health. But it's all part of a wellness package, right? They go together. So I think continuing to see things more like that, to provide incentives for engaging in some of the wellness activities that USG offers, providing opportunities within labs, within divisions and branches as appropriate. Our labs are all different sizes, and we have staff we need to consider as well that are not necessarily the engineers or researchers. So it's the whole organization, more of a holistic approach. Providing activities and programs in education. And the fact that the pandemic was a long-term event means it's going to have long-term consequences. So there are things people are still dealing with that are going to continue to deal with that are sort of long-term results of having to go through collective trauma, such as the pandemic, which is how the allied mental health community thinks of the pandemic, as a collective trauma. And so we need to treat it that way and not think that just because we can start entering back into the workforce, that means everything else just magically goes away.
You mentioned, physical and mental health, we're all related. But in terms of our mental health, what are some signs we should look out for in ourselves or others we care about in terms of, how they may be still dealing with that collective trauma from the pandemic?
So the most obvious one is people who've experienced personal loss and are still grieving. Okay. Some people also experience illness and are still recovering from the effects of that illness. It could have been COVID. It could have been something else. Or could have been more than one thing. And so they may still be suffering from that. Beyond that, I think, the effects of long-term trauma or the collective trauma that we all experienced in different ways would look like fatigue, maybe unexplained prolonged fatigue that isn't just a result of not getting a good night's sleep, but just sort of an overall, malaise and just lack of energy, soreness, muscles, different things like that you could attribute to fatigue. A increase in anxiety or depression that might have been there before or maybe new. So those are things to watch out for. Also, there could be issues such as prolonged grieving that need to be addressed as well. That maybe a lot of people did not get to grieve like they normally would have because they couldn't. They couldn't
Right.
attend services. They couldn't, do things together that we otherwise might have done before. So that's something that is going to need to be addressed as well.
Absolutely. So just to add on to that, what should we do if we're experiencing any of these symptoms? And could you talk a little bit about what resources are available at GTRI to treat those?
Yes. So the two most obvious ones are the Employee Assistance Program. That can be found at the USG EAP website. So we will have that website available to people to go to. The Employee Assistance Program offers generally short-term services, a lot of emergency or acute stress counseling. They can also, I believe, help with referrals outside of the EAP, but that is definitely a first place you can go to. The other thing that people can do is contact their insurance company if they have insurance through USG or another employer if they have spousal insurance, and get referrals to mental health services, which could be, any master's or doctoral level therapists. There are different certified licensed therapist specialties. So as a culture, GTRI can help promote mental and physical wellness throughout the year by offering various activities or making people continually aware of the services and programs and incentives there are to develop a program of wellness. So everybody's going to have a different way of doing that, right? So some people really enjoy being active in certain athletic activities or certain meditative activities. Some people may want to engage active services on a regular basis. Whatever the case may be, everybody's different, and using our resources and provider networks to understand what is the best approach for each individual to work toward is, I think, a good start.